Hey everybody, welcome back to Speak. We're getting close to the end here. We have only 4 assignments left. Today we're doing assignment number 19. Remember, there's only 22. We are finding out so much more about Melinda. And not now, we know what happened, of course. We finally heard the story from her. But we're starting to see exactly what it's doing to her and how it's destroying her from the inside. Because she's not saying anything. And yesterday, she said she felt ashamed for what? She didn't do anything wrong. And she also feels fear. Why? Well, because the person who attacked her, who raped her, is still around the school. And not only is he still there, he's terrorizing her. He's whispering in her ear. He's touching her. He's coming near her. He's looking at her. Let's hope in these next 4 assignments that Melinda talks to somebody and tells them what happened, and that Andy Evans, also known as It, gets his punishment that he deserves. Let's see. Let's go. So assignment number 19, you know the deal. Please get all your vocabulary words done, do your sentences, answer your questions correctly, and do one of the open-ended essay questions at the end. Make sure you're giving examples from your life or the book, or even better, both of them together. You link them together. That would be fantastic. Assignment number 19 has 5 parts. We are going to be reading Advice from a Smart Mouth, The Beast Prowls, Homesick, Oprah, Sally, Jesse, Jerry, and me, which is a hugely important part. Wait until we get to that. And Real Spring. So let's go. Advice from a Smart Mouth. David Petrakis sends me a note in social studies, typed. He thinks it's horrible that my parents didn't videotape Mr. Next Class or stick up for me the way his folks did. Well, why don't her parents stick up for her? And we know the answer to that, because they don't really care about her. They just don't want her to bother them. And that would be a bother to them, right? They want to live their lives without being affected by their kid. My point is, why even have a kid? OMG, the kid is supposed to be your life, and everything that you want to do should be for your child. It feels so good to have someone feel sorry for me. I don't mention that my parents don't know what happened. They'll figure out what happened soon enough at the next meeting with the guidance counselor. I think David should be a judge. His latest career goal is to be a quantum physics genius. I don't know what that means, but he says his father is furious. His dad is right. David was made for the law. Deadly calm, turbocharged brain, and a good eye for weakness. All right, stop right there. Wait a minute. David's dad should decide what he does. David's dad thinks that David would be a better lawyer. It doesn't matter what David's dad thinks. It matters what David thinks. The guy wants to be a quantum physics guy or possibly a doctor. How dare the dad tell him, no, you were made for the law. As long as he tries his best and does what he loves, that's all that matters. In my opinion, humbly, of course. David was made for the law, deadly calm, turbocharged brain, and a good eye for weakness. He stops by my locker. I tell him Mr. Neck gave me a D for the suffragette report. David, he has a point. Me, it was a great report. You read it. I wrote a bibliography and I didn't copy from the encyclopedia. It was the best report ever. It's not my fault Mr. Neck doesn't get performance art. David pauses to offer me a stick of gum. It's a delaying tactic, the kind that juries love. David, but you got it wrong. The suffragettes were all about speaking up, screaming for their rights. You can't speak up for your right to be silent. That's letting the bad guys win. If the suffragettes did that, women wouldn't be able to vote yet. I blow a bubble in his face. He folds the gum wrappers into tiny triangles. David, don't get me wrong. I think what you did was kind of cool, and getting stuck in mist wasn't fair. But don't expect to make a difference unless you speak up for yourself. Me, do you lecture all your friends like this? David, only the ones I like. Oh, snap. Did you hear what he said? Only the ones I like. That was pretty smooth, actually. But how does she react to that? Because we know how she feels about boys right now. Not very good. Now, is it fair to lump David in with Andy? No. But can we blame her for it? No, of course not. We both chew on this for a minute. The bell rings. I keep looking in my locker for a book that I already know isn't there. David checks his watch 100 times. We hear principal bellow, "Let's move it, people!" Me, maybe I won't answer. Chew, chew, blow, bubble, pop. Maybe I will. Is he asking me out? I don't think so, but he kind of is. I guess I'll answer if he calls, but if he touches me, I'll explode. So a date is out of the question. No touching. The beast prowls. I stay after school to work on tree sketches. Mr. Freeman helps me for a while. He gives me a roll of brown paper and a piece of white chalk and shows me how to draw a tree in 3 sweeping lines. He doesn't care how many mistakes I make. Just 1, 2, 3. Like a waltz, he says, over and over. I use up a mile of the paper, but he doesn't care. This may be the root of his budget problem with the school board. God crackles over the intercom and tells Mr. Freeman he's late for a faculty meeting. Mr. Freeman says the kind of words you don't usually hear from teachers. I'm guessing Mr. Freeman swears. He gives me a new piece of chalks and tells me to draw roots. You can't grow a decent tree without roots. The art room is one of the places I feel safe. I hum and don't worry about looking stupid. Roots, ugh, but I try. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't worry about the next day or minute. 1, 2, 3. Somebody flicks the lights off. My head snaps up. It is there. Andy Beast. Little rabbit harp leaps out of my chest and scampers across the paper, leaving bloody footprints on my roots. He turns the lights back on. So she's now alone in the room with the guy who raped her. He knows what he did, clearly. He's been enjoying torturing her about it, right? I smell him. Have to find out where he gets that cologne. I think it's called fear. This is turning into one of those repeating nightmares where you keep falling but never hit the floor. Only I feel like I just smacked into the ground at 100 miles an hour. You've seen Rochelle Bruin? He even has the nerve to talk to her, to ask her a question. Oh my gosh. This guy is evil. I sit completely still. Maybe I can blend in with the metal tables and crumbling clay pots. He walks toward me, long, slow strides. The smell chokes me. I shiver. She's supposed to meet me, but I can't find her anywhere. Do you know who she is? Me. It sits on my table. Its leg smears my chalk drawing, blurring the roots into a mossy fog. Hello? Anyone home? Are you deaf? It stares at my face. I crush my jaws together so hard, my teeth crumble to dust. I'm a deer frozen in the headlights, pardon me, of a tractor trailer. Is he going to hurt me again? He couldn't. Not in school, could he? That's an interesting question. Can somebody be hurt in a school building? The answer is, of course. If you're alone, somebody can do that to you. Yeah. Is it her fault, though? The teacher shouldn't have left her alone in the room, but she should feel like she could be safe in the school, but she's not. Clearly, she's not. She's alone with this guy again. Why can't I scream, say something, do anything? Why am I so afraid? Andy? I've been waiting outside. Rachel sweeps into the room wearing an artsy-fartsy gypsy scarf skirt and a necklace of eye-sized mirrors. She pouts and Andy leaps off the table, ripping my paper, scattering bits of chalk. Ivy walks through the door, bumping Rachel accidentally. She hesitates. She has to feel that something is going on. In other words, she senses the tension in the room. Then she takes her sculpture off the shelf and sits at the table next to me. See, that's actually a silent way of giving Melinda a little bit of support, that she comes and sits at the table next to her. She doesn't know what happened, but she knows something's wrong. Rachel looks at me, but she doesn't say anything. She must have gotten my note. I mailed it over a week ago. Remember the note where she said Andy Beast is a bad guy? He's going to hurt you. He hurt a 9th grader. I stand up. Rachel gives us a half wave and says, ciao. Andy puts his arm around her waist and pulls her close to his body as they float out the door. Ivy is talking to me, but it takes a while before I can hear her. What a jerk, she says. She pinches the clay. I can't believe she's going out with him. Can you? It's like I don't know her anymore, and he's trouble. She slaps a hunk of clay on the table. Believe me, that creep is trouble with a capital T. I'd love to stay and chat, but my feet won't let me. I walk home instead of taking the bus. I unlock the front door and walk straight up to my room, across the rug, and into my closet without even taking off my backpack. When I close the closet door behind me, I bury my face into the clothes on the left side of the rack, clothes that haven't fit for years. I stuff my mouth with old fabric and scream until there are no sounds left under my skin. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? She goes into her closet, stuffs her mouth with clothes so she can scream at the top of her lungs. She's letting it out, but that's not how you let it out. It's still stuck inside her, right? Notice she screams until there are no sounds left under her skin. So how long does she do that for? Look how upset she is. Look how much this is torturing her. Homesick. Time for a mental health day. I need a day in pajamas, eating ice cream from the carton, painting my toenails, and enjoying trash TV. You have to plan ahead for a mental health day. I learned this from a conversation my mom had with her friend Kim. Mom always starts acting sick 48 hours ahead of time. She and Kim take mental health days together. They buy shoes and go to the movies. Cutting edge adult delinquency. What is the world coming to? I don't eat any dinner dessert, and I cough so much during the news, my dad tells me to take some cough medicine. In the morning, I smear some mascara under my eyes so it looks like I haven't slept at all. Mom takes my temperature. Turns out I have a fever. Surprises even me. Her hand is cool, an island on my forehead. The words tumble out before I can stop them. Me, I don't feel well. Mom pats my back. Mom, you must be sick. You're talking. I mean, the first time she talks to you and you have a sarcastic response to her, think about that. Why does she not feel like she can talk to you or trust you? Because you're not nice to her. Even she can hear how bitchy that sounds. She clears her throat and tries again. Mom, I'm sorry. It's nice to hear your voice. Go back to bed. I'll bring up a tray before I leave. Do you want some ginger ale? Now how hard was that, Mom? To be nice to her, to try to take care of her, to be good to her, to care for her? A nod. Okay, everybody, pay close attention to this section. This section is huge. Oprah, Sally, Jesse, Jerry, and me. Now, we know who Oprah, Sally, you might not know who Sally Jesse is. You might not, well, you probably, Oprah, you know of. She was a talk show host in the old days. Now she just has magazines and stuff like that. Sally Jesse was another talk show host back in the day, in like the 90s and the 2000s. Her name was Sally Jesse Raphael. Also a daytime talk show host, brought people on with like problems. Of course, Jerry is Jerry Springer, I'm thinking, and he's not even worth talking about. That's not really a talk show that deals with real problems. That's just about, people going after each other and attacking each other as far as I've ever seen. I don't think it's worth watching, in my opinion. You do what you want to do. Of course, I'm never telling you what to do. I'm just explaining the story. And me. So she's sitting at home. She's watching these shows, these daytime talk shows, and watch what it makes her think and how it makes her feel. My fever is 102.2. Sounds like a radio station. Mom calls me to remind me to drink a lot of fluids. I say thank you, even though it hurts my throat. It's nice of her to call me. She promises to bring home popsicles. I hang up and snuggle into my couch nest with the remote. Click, click, click. If my life were a TV show, what would it be? If it were an after-school special, I would speak in front of an auditorium of my peers on how not to lose your virginity, or why seniors should be locked up, or my summer vacation, a drunken party, lies, and rape. Was I raped? Oprah. Let's explore that. Now, first of all, of course she was raped. But here's the problem. She's just so young and she's blaming herself, and it's just so wrong. Never her fault or a woman's fault for being raped. Never. It's the evil person who did it. But again, she has to come with terms with the fact that she was, so that she can go tell people, so that he can get in trouble. And she, you know what? Him getting in trouble is second. Her getting help is first. Oprah, let's explore that. You said no. He covered your mouth with his hand. You were 13 years old. It doesn't matter that you were drunk. Honey, you were raped. What a horrible, horrible thing for you to live through. Didn't you ever think of telling anyone? You can't keep this inside forever. Can someone get her a tissue? Sally Jesse. I want this boy held responsible. He is to blame for this attack. You do know it was an attack, don't you? It was not your fault. I want you to listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. It is not your fault. The boy was an animal. Jerry, was it love? No. Was it lust? No. Was it tenderness, sweetness, the first time they talk about in magazines? No, 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 no. Speak up, Melinda. I can't hear you. My head is killing me. My throat is killing me. My stomach bubbles with toxic waste. I just want to sleep. A coma would be nice, or amnesia. Listen to that. She would actually rather be in a coma than be alive, like awake, because at least in that she wouldn't. It wouldn't torture her. Wouldn't go through her mind all the time. And why does it keep going through her mind and torturing her? A, because it's a terrible thing that happened. But B, it's because she's not telling anybody about it. Or amnesia. Anything just to get rid of these thoughts, these whispers in my mind. Did he rape my head too? Think about that sentence. Did he rape my head too? That it's just so indicative of the fact that it's destroying her in her mind as well as her body was hurt. So is her mind. So is her soul. I take 2 Tylenol and eat a bowl of pudding. Then I watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and fall asleep. A trip to the neighborhood of make-believe would be nice. Maybe I could stay with Daniel Striped Tiger in his treehouse. Listen to that. She would rather be in a fantasy make-believe world with cartoon characters or hand puppets, because at least there she'd be safe and she would forget. She would have a future and she would have her dreams back. Real spring. May is finally here and it has stopped raining. Good thing, too. The mayor of Syracuse is about to put out a call for a guy named Noah. The sun appears butter yellow and so warm it coaxes tulips out of the crusty mud. A miracle. Our yard is a mess. All our neighbors have these great magazine cover yards with flowers that match their shutters and expensive white rocks that border fresh mounds of mulch. Ours has green bushes that just about cover the front windows and a lot of dead leaves. Mom is already gone. Saturday is the biggest selling day of the week at Efforts. Dad snores upstairs. I put on old jeans and unearth a rake from the back of the garage. I start on the leaves suffocating the bushes. I bet Dad hasn't cleaned them out for years. They look harmless and dry on top, but under that top layer, they're wet and slimy. White mold snakes from one leaf to the next. The leaves stick together like floppy pages in a decomposing book. I rake a mountain into the front yard, and there are still more, like the earth pukes up leaf gunk when I'm not looking. I have to fight the bushes. They snag the tines of the rake and hold them. They don't like me cleaning out all that rot. It takes an hour. Finally, the rake scrapes its metal fingernails along damp brown dirt. I get down on my knees to reach behind and drag out the last leaves. Miss Keene would be proud of me. I observe. Worms caught in the sun squirm for cover. Pale green shoots of something alive have been struggling under the leaves. As I watch, they straighten to face the sun. I swear I can see them grow. The garage door opens and Dad backs out the Jeep. He stops in the driveway when he sees me. He turns off the engine and gets out. I stand up and brush the dirt off my jeans. My palms are blistered and my arms are already sore from the raking. I can't tell if he's angry or not. It's interesting that she would think her dad might be angry about her cleaning the yard. Well, why does she think that? Because she doesn't really even know her dad, because they don't talk to each other. Think about that, how sad that is. Maybe he likes the front of his house looking like crap. Dad, that's a lot of work. Me. Dad, I'll get some leaf bags at the store. Me. We both stand there with our arms crossed, staring at the little baby plants trying to grow in the shade of the house-eating bushes. The sun goes behind a cloud and I shiver. I should have worn a sweatshirt. The wind rustles dead leaves still clinging to the oak branches by the street. All I can think of is that the rest of the leaves are going to drop and I'll have to keep raking. Dad, looks a lot better. Cleaned out like that, I mean. The wind blows again. The leaves tremble. Dad, I suppose I should trim back the bushes. Of course, then you'd see the shutters and they need paint. And if I paint these shutters, I'll have to paint all the shutters. And the trim needs work too. And the front door. Me. Tree. Hush, rustle. Hush. Dad turns to listen to the tree. I'm not sure what to do. Dad, and that tree is sick. See how the branches on the left don't have any buds? I should call someone to take a look at it. Don't want it crashing into your room during a storm. Now, I just want to point something out. Dad recognizes that there's something wrong with the tree, that it's sick, that it needs help. Dude, you can't recognize that your daughter is sick, that there's something wrong with her, that she needs help? Thanks, Dad. Like I'm not already having a hard time sleeping. Worry number 64, flying tree limbs. I shouldn't have raked anything. Look what I started. I shouldn't have tried something new. I should have stayed in the house, watched cartoons with a double-sized bowl of Cheerios. Should have stayed in my room, stayed in my head. Dad, guess I'm going to the hardware store. Want to come? The hardware store. 7 acres of unshaven men and bright-eyed women in search of the perfect screwdriver, weed killer, volcanic gas grills, noise, lights, kids running down the aisle with hatchets and axes and saw blades, people fighting about the right color to paint the bathroom. No, thank you. So again, she doesn't want to go because there's people there and she doesn't like people. And we understand why. I shake my head. I pick up the rake and start making the dead leaf pile neater. A blister pops and stains the rake handle like a tear. Dad nods and walks to the Jeep, keys jangling in his fingers. A mockingbird lands on a low oak branch and scolds me. I rake the leaves out of my throat. Me, can you buy some seeds? Flower seeds? Did you see that? She said, I rake the leaves out of my throat. She's speaking metaphorically, of course. She doesn't have leaves in her throat, but she says that because it's hard for her to speak, even to her father. Can you buy me some seeds? Some flowers? Can you buy some seeds, flower seeds? So it just shows you how bad this is for her. And doesn't he see it? She can't even talk to you without trouble. OMG, people. I'm sorry, this book gets me mad because I want her to get the help she needs. Are her parents there to help her? All right, we're done for today for assignment number 19. That was really well done. Thank you, everybody.